Hey players, welcome back to KT Gaming, your go-to channel for everything gaming and tech. Today I'm diving deep into one of the most shocking, controversial moves Sony has made in years. The sudden shutdown of their highly anticipated shooter, Concord. Released on Tuesday, August 23rd, 2024, the game has already been pulled from digital stores, and the servers went offline just yesterday. But how did Sony's shooter go from highly anticipated to an industry failure in just 2 weeks? I pieced together this story using sources from Gaming Bible, PlayStation Blog, IGN, and Kotaku, and it's going to get spicy, so make sure to stick around. Let me dive into it. When Concord was announced, Sony hyped it up as the next big thing in multiplayer shooters, developed by Firewalk Studios. They had ambitious plans to carve out a niche in the saturated FPS market, competing with the likes of Call of Duty, Apex Legends, and Destiny 2. PlayStation Blog even outlined how the game was designed with an intricate crew builder system, allowing players to customize teams with different characters and abilities, promising depth and strategy for competitive play. But here's the thing, upon release it became clear that Concord was riddled with problems. According to IGN, the game launched with significant balancing issues, awkward mechanics, and worst of all, a lack of innovation. It didn't offer much that could set it apart from other multiplayer games in the market, and despite all the grand promises, players quickly grew bored of repetitive missions and poor server stability. The writing was on the wall almost immediately. The launch day numbers were abysmal, with less than 700 concurrent players on August 23rd. According to PlayStation Blog, Firewalk Studios admitted that their launch didn't land the way they'd intended, and Sony pulled the game from sales just 11 days later. The post-launch support that was promised, just like the new maps and characters, never materialized due to the rapid decline in the player base. This rapid falloff is eerily reminiscent of other highly profile multiplayer failures like Anthem and Babylon's Fall, as well as the day before. But Concord's crash and burn is a rare case of AAA publishers throwing in the towel so quickly. Here's where the controversy really starts. Instead of trying to salvage Concord with patches or content drops, Sony decided to shut it down entirely, just 2 weeks after launch. According to Kotaku, internal discussions were underway to make Concord a free-to-play title, which might have boasted its player base, but Sony had already lost confidence. On September 3rd, 2024, they announced the servers would go offline, refunds will be processed for all players, and the game was removed from all marketplaces. The quick shutdown is almost unheard of, especially for a project that Sony had touted as a major exclusive. It's led many to speculate whether the higher-ups had serious doubts even before launch, and simply hoped the game's marketing would save it. The gaming community did not take the shutdown lightly. Fans who had been following the game since its early announcements voiced their frustration on social media. Many criticized Sony for rushing the game's release in an incomplete state, while others pointed fingers at Firewalk Studios for failing to deliver on their promises. What's more, according to IGN, some players had grown to enjoy Concord despite its flaws, but felt betrayed when the game was pulled so soon after launch. The Concord subreddit blew up with posts from angry gamers who felt abandoned. This brings up the question, did Sony make a critical miscalculation by entering the already crowded multiplayer FPS market? With heavyweights like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Valorant dominating the space, Concord didn't do enough to distinguish itself. Its lack of unique selling points made it easy for players to dismiss. Gaming Bible and other sources have speculated that Sony may have seriously overestimated the game's potential, failing to recognize the challenges of breaking into the live service FPS market. With Concord shut down, Sony now has to reassess its entire strategy when it comes to multiplayer games. Is this the beginning of the end for their attempts to compete in the live service space? Or will they double down on their other ongoing projects? Time will tell, but one thing is clear, Concord is now a cautionary tale of what happens when a game is launched prematurely into a crowded market. And there you have it, Sony's quick and shocking decision to shut down Concord after only 2 weeks in the wild. What do you think? Did Sony act too fast, or was this the right move? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always players, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more updates on all things gaming, Sony, and tech. Now players, I want to see like kind of like surprised that Sony like shut this game down so fast. Like it literally was only like it could have picked up eventually, you know, like some games have had lower fan bases and then picked up. Like this kind of reminds me of Rumbleverse. You guys know how that game, well, if you don't know, it's like a brawling kind of game that got shut down a while back, maybe like a year or two ago, if I remember correctly. But it was like slow start at first, like with not that many players, but then the fan base grew and I was in love with that game, guys. And when I found out that that game was getting shut down because it wasn't reaching their expectations and they thought it was doing bad, so they had to shut it down, that was so disappointing because that was one of my favorite games at the time, which is crazy. But this game, I feel like it should have happened, but maybe they should have waited a little longer to see if the game was like, if the game's fate was sealed, you know, if it would ever recover. Because if that was me, if I was in the development room or in the boardroom, I wouldn't have made the call to shut it down so early. Like just give it a little bit of time, fix the bugs, patch things up, and make updates consistently. Maybe they could have salvaged the game. But what are your players' thoughts down below? Let me know. Until next time, keep on playing, gamers.